Welcome students. Today we are going to learn the first chapter of economics, that is development. To make you understand the term development, I would like to give you some examples. Suppose a student of class 9 has scored 70% mark in term 1 and the same student has scored 90% mark in term 2. So there is a progress or positive change in the students academically. Another example, whenever you are a baby, what is your weight? Your weight may be 4 kilo, maybe 5 kilo, but now whenever you are in class 10, your weight is 50 kilo, 60 kilo, some of you are also 70 kilo or more than that. So that is your physical growth or physical development. Whenever you are a baby, hardly you could remember a few words, and that is also taught by your mother. But whenever you are in class 1, then you could remember so many words, rhymes, you could do the sum, addition, subtraction and etc. That is your mental growth. So development means it is a process in which something grows, becomes mature, more advanced. But development, it is subjective in nature. What do you mean by subjective in nature? It means it differs from person to person. It varies from person to person. Whatever the developmental goal for me, means for a teacher, may not be the developmental goal for a student. So there are certain principles of development. So what are the principles? Now let us discuss. The first principle of development is that different people have different developmental goals. Take the example of a landless farmer. The developmental goal of a landless farmer may be a piece of land of his own. Another example, the developmental goal of an Adivasi who lives in the Narmada Valley, he might have the developmental goal to be treated equally, to be treated with the same respect in the society, to earn a better livelihood. That is why we can tell that different people, they are having different developmental goal. Whatever the developmental goal for a teacher, that may not be the developmental goal for a doctor. Another important principle of development, that is what may be development for one may not be the development for the other. It may be destructive for the other. Take the example of the construction of a dam. The construction of a dam may be development for the industrialist who can use more amount of electricity to run his industry. But the construction of the dam may not be useful, may not be beneficial for the people who are living nearby areas of that dam, because they have to relocate, they have to leave their own place and they have to move somewhere else. That is why we can tell that the whatever may be development for one, that may not be development for the other. We can also take the example of the brother and sister living in the same family. A sister, she is having the developmental goal that she should get the equal opportunity in the family. She should be treated equally with her brother by the parents. And the household work must be shared between the brother and the sister. But the brother may not like that. The third important principle of development is that people look at a mix of goals rather than choosing one. To explain this in detail, I would like to give one example. A person, while choosing a job, he not only looks for the salary, he also takes into consideration some other important things like the job security, the work environment, the other facilities he or she is going to get by the organization. All these things matters to the employee a lot. That is why we can tell that the people look at a mix of goals rather choosing one. And another most important thing I would like to share with you, that development is of two types: materialistic development and non-materialistic development. Materialistic development, the development in the income, wealth, property, all these. And non-materialistic development means that self-respect, equal opportunity in the society, disease-free environment, these all things. Another important thing now we are going to discuss, that is how to compare between the countries. As we are as we are learning economics, we should know that how can we compare between the countries. As we have already discussed, the development is subjective in nature. It means it varies from person to person. How can we tell that one country is developed and another country is underdeveloped? One thing is developed, another thing is underdeveloped. When we compare different things, comparison means they could have similarities, they could have differences also. So the result depends upon the purpose of comparison. I would like to give you an example that when we compare the students of a class, they may differ in height, they may differ in health, they may differ in knowledge, intellect. The healthiest student of the class may not be the intellectual one, and the intellectual boy or the intellectual student of the class may not be creative, may not be friendly. So the criteria we use that depends upon the purpose of our comparison. If we have to select the students for a quiz competition or for a debate competition, we have to compare on the basis of knowledge. But whenever we are selecting the students for any sports activity, then we have to compare the students on the basis of their height, weight, health, and the team spirit, their presence of mind, all these things. Likewise, to compare between countries, the income of the countries is considered as the most important attribute. The countries which are having high income, they are termed as developed countries, and the countries which are having less income, they are termed as the less developed countries. So now what is the income of a country? That question may arise in your mind, that what is the income of a country? Naturally, the income of all the citizens residing in that country, that is the national income or the total income of that country. However, for comparison between countries, total income is not such an useful measure because different countries, they are having different population. I would like to give you an example. Suppose in India, we are having our total income is 1 crore rupees, but our population is also more than 1 crore. But if we take the example of Iraq, maybe their total income is 50 lakh, but less population is very less there. Suppose 50 lakh of people are living there. So how can we take that national income of the country as an useful comparison? That is why that World Bank has taken the average income or the per capita income of the country as the criteria to compare between the countries. What do you mean by per capita income or average income of a country? It is the total income of the country divided by the total population of the country. Here I would also like to give you an example. The per capita income of India is $1,497 and the per capita income of Pakistan is $1,427. Now we can tell that India is more developed than Pakistan on the basis of per capita income. Still, the economists, they have analyzed that all the time average cannot be taken into consideration to compare between the countries. On the basis of that average income, all the time we cannot tell that this country is developed or that country is underdeveloped, because average income hides some disparities. Most important, that it does not show that how the income is distributed between the people of that, between the citizens of that country. It does not show the equitable distribution of the income. There are some haves, there are some have-nots, or there are some rich and poor in the country. So that average income, it does not show that how that income is distributed among the citizens. Another most important thing, that it also ignores the health status, the educational level of the citizens of that country. It also neglects some of the qualitative aspects of the economy, that is the law and order, that the defense, the discipline of the economy. That is why we cannot tell that the average income is the best attribute to compare between the countries. There are some other attributes that can also be taken into consideration while comparing between the countries. And regarding those attributes like the literacy rate, the infant mortality rate, net attendance ratio, all these things we will discuss in our next class. This much for today.